Welcome to the Business Chaser, your quick pour of strategy, clarity, and momentum. We skip the small talk and get straight to the strategy here in these bite-sized episodes. We're here to help you grow smarter, market better, and chase what matters, all in 15 minutes or less. I'm your host, Lauren Najar. Tune in and let's chat. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast. We have another Business Chaser episode, which I'm excited to talk about this. And I wanted to kind of lay the groundwork first. So in this Business Chaser episode, again, these episodes are very quick, 15 minutes or less, and they are meant for just really targeted, specific topics, really bullet pointed. And this is definitely kind of like a discussion, because I'm not going to teach anything necessarily, but I do want to kind of change your mindset, shift around something, and that is about AI. And I wanted to talk about how to really utilize AI to further improve your business and maybe some of the frustrations that you're having, and maybe it's in the way that you're kind of using it. So let me just kind of get into it. First and foremost, if you have never listened to this podcast before, welcome. I'm Lauren Najar. I am the host of Business Over Cocktails. And on Mondays, we have longer episodes where we talk about stories and we have guests on there. And then these 15-minute or less episodes are called Business Chaser episodes, where we are going to dive into a very specific topic every Friday, either with one of our guests or myself. And so today we're going to talk about AI. And I wanted to tell a story really quickly. So this is in my own journey and how to use AI for my business. And I think the trend of the world, so to speak, maybe 2 years ago, is that it's going to replace everything and it can think for you, right? And I think that it's funny because I think now we're seeing a rise with Claude. So I'm recording this in March of 2026. By the time someone listens to this, it might be different. But right now there is such a rise with Claude. Ever since the Super Bowl, ever since the whole government fallout thing, everyone's kind of mass switching to Claude, which is wonderful. And everyone is finding out how awesome it is. And everyone's kind of ditching OpenAI and ChatGPT. And I think that has probably been a long time coming for a lot of people, because there have been frustrations with ChatGPT of not remembering things, and people are complaining that everyone sounds the same, which I agree with. And that's really because of how people think they know how to use it. And really, that's not how we're just not utilizing that tool to its best of abilities as well. But anyway, so as of now, we're seeing I'm seeing the same content that I saw 2 years ago when ChatGPT was the number one thing. And what do I mean by that? I'm seeing a lot of content creators, like Instagram gurus or business coaches that have a lot of courses. They're almost repackaging their offers that they previously had with ChatGPT, but now just slapping a Claude symbol on there and being this is how I use Claude. And that's very smart and very easy to do. But I think, here we are going up this mountain, right? We're climbing and scaling this mountain pretty quickly. And all of a sudden it's going to kind of settle and ease out at one point. So let's just talk about truly how to use AI to the best of your ability when it comes to your business. And this is in my experience. This is in my experience with my clients. And this is in my experience as a coach for my clients. And also just hearing, I probably am surrounded more by beginner AI users versus if you have been utilizing it and and you feel very confident with how you use it and you're happy with it and you do all these crazy, amazing projects with it, then this probably won't be a valid conversation for you. Or you might just be yep, I feel that, I'm with Lauren, or I agree with you, or I see this, or maybe I'm just opening your eyes to how a lot of people feel about this. So I think I feel there's different levels, right? I feel people are utilizing it to replace certain tasks and certain thinking. And I feel like that's the first step into it, right? It's like, okay, cool. Like, what can you do? And like, it's like, oh, wow, like you can actually do all of these things. And so then it actually starts giving you stuff that you're like, oh, cool. Like, I don't even have to think anymore. But in reality, you still have to give it input. So I recently, it was like, this was probably 3 years ago now. Definitely maybe 2 years ago now, 2.5 years ago. I was utilizing ChatGPT a lot, and I was just like dipping my toes in it. I was trying to get the muscle memory of like, I can use AI now. I don't have to like think about all these things, or it can really help me with some of these tasks. So I was going through and I was putting together a comprehensive marketing intensive for a client. And I had all the plans, right? Like I had all of the questions that I asked the client. I have the call recorded, which love a good AI note taker. I have the transcript of the call. I prompted him for the questions, my client, I should say, on the call for 60 minutes. It ended up being like a 90-minute call. I got really deep into his business. I wanted to know what his goals were. And so I asked all of those questions to get that information out of him. So then I started creating the strategy based on those goals, right? So mind you, was not using AI yet. And I'm creating this from a Word document and I'm kind of like typing up to be like presentable for the client. And I'm like, what can AI help me do? And so I actually fed it all the information that I wanted to help the client with. And I'm like, can you like make sense of this, or can you like format it to where it's like easy to read? And so I did it, and like it took me, usually an intensive takes me like a day and a half to carve out, like up until this point, right? Where I'm like formatting things and typing things, and just these intensives sometimes have a lot of work to do. Where now I can just talk to the bot and give it like a transcript of a voice note that I'm leaving it, and it will create a nice document of like everything of all of my thoughts, right? But there was a part of me that was like feeling guilty that I was charging X amount of dollars because I was done a lot quicker than I would be. And that was the first time that I realized I was actually like tying money only to the amount of hours I was working versus my brain. And this is kind of where I want to go with this is AI now is teaching me how smart I actually am, or how much I should say, or you can reword it. Maybe I'll own that. I'll own that. I like what I said. But also how much work I've done and how much learning I've done and how much knowledge I carry. And that is actually worth more than the hours I work typing up a document for a day and a half. And that was eye-opening to me, because that right there is a prime example of something that AI can help me do and be more efficient on. And that's wonderful, right? But that's not replacing me. I still had to feed it the information. I still had to give it the information. I still had to ask the client and have the call with the client. Because again, some of those questions maybe AI could have asked, but I was able to ask those questions based on the feedback I was getting from the call with the client, meaning I was hearing his voice, hearing his tone of voice, how his tone changes, what he really wants. And that's what makes me a good coach, and that's what makes me a good marketing consultant strategist, is I can hear the change in tone and voice of if someone is really wanting something, or maybe they mean something else, or maybe I need to dig deeper, or maybe I'm not clear enough. And so that right there, emotional intelligence, intuition, AI can't replace that. AI can replace me asking questions of like, what are your goals in the next 6 months? Let me draw you up a plan. But if they just say, well, I don't know what my goals are, well, chat isn't going to help you do that. They might, but then there's going to be something different and deeper that we have to dig through of like, well, why can't you create goals for yourself? for 6 months. So that's the story I wanted to share of like, these are a lot of realizations I had in this moment of now I understand all of the work I've done and put in and the investments I've made into courses and all of these things have brought me to this turning point of I finally get to get paid for my brain and for the knowledge that I have. And it does not matter how long or short it takes for me to type up a document. And even recently, I had this moment of like guilt where, again, it was a task that didn't take me that long for deliverables for a client, but I had to really tell myself I did everything. It was my voice. It was my transcript. It was me talking. And all I wanted AI to do was format the document for me to make it very clear. And then I even still go through the document line by line to make sure that it picked up on the right stuff and it makes sense. But it is taking a shorter amount of time to really just like do this work. And so I really want to bring this home for you. I want to do full circle moment is it's not going to ever replace you, nor should it. And when you are going to go to some sort of AI tool and ask it for a marketing plan, that's why you're going to get generic advice and it's not going to work for you. There has to be some sort of business input, goal input, feeling, emotion input that you are giving the bot to then help you ideate, help you brainstorm on a marketing plan. So yes, you can get generic advice from any of these tools. But if we could do that, then why isn't everyone making money then? What it really comes down to is still your knowledge. And it's a tool to help you be more efficient. It's a tool to help you brainstorm. It's a tool to help you see things more clearly. It is not meant to replace the knowledge or the intuition or your emotional intelligence in order to like help a client out or even help your business. It's never going to replace that. And so we can't lose those things. And that is why you probably have frustration around a lot of generic advice, whatever bot you're working with is giving you, because the less input you give it, the more generic it's going to be. And then it's not going to sound like you. It's not going to make sense. And then you're wondering why it's not working because we're taking what these bots are saying as Bible and it's going to give us $1 million or whatever it is. But you also have to understand these bots are fed the information by anyone who's inputting with it, right? And so these bots get smarter. However, they don't know your business specifically. They don't know the ins and outs unless you tell it, right? Unless you give it the numbers, unless you have all of the information already ready for yourself. So that is a huge thing to remember, is that it is a tool to make you more efficient. It is a tool to take away for some of the things that are just floating in your brain space, but it's never meant to replace the knowledge that you have and the knowledge that you need to continue to evolve upon to grow your own business. It can help you brainstorm, ideate, can help you do a lot of other things to be more efficient and complete tasks faster, but it's never going to replace what it is that you need in your business. So I hope this was helpful and maybe changing your mindset around how to effectively use tools in your business. That's your quick hit of clarity and momentum for the week. If it sparks something, share it with a friend or tag us in your stories at Business Over Cocktails and or at Lauren Najar. We love seeing what resonates. Don't forget, Mondays are for full-length episodes with rich conversations, and Fridays are the Business Chaser episodes. These are bite-sized insights pulled from our guests to keep you inspired and aligned throughout the week. Do you have a question or a takeaway? DM us at Business Over Cocktails. We just might feature it in a future episode. Cheers!